'Twas the title won in Boston. Not all quiet in the land. Just 13 hours after the confetti fell at the Garden, the Celtic players and coaches boarded a private chartered flight bound for Miami. Miami. Did they want to go hang out with Jimmy Buckets in the Heat? No, apparently not. They wanted to do partay. This is a shot at the nightlife in Boston that the Celtics decided to travel to Miami. I guess it was too far to get to Vegas and back, so they went to Miami instead. But the C's conceivably will spend a couple of nights there in South Florida, running up the booze account, and then head back for the championship duck boat parade, which will be on Friday morning. So they could even leave Friday morning if they want. I don't have to leave Thursday. They could leave on Friday morning. And so the booze is a-flowing in the air and in the belly everywhere. But the smackaroo talk continues inside the green team. So if you know what I mean, maybe not. I don't know if you've been paying attention to this or not. But the Celtics social media, they sent out a sizzle reel, which is now become common. Every once in a while, I end up in one of these things. I think the Arizona Diamondbacks last year did one when they got to the World Series, and they included me. And there have been a few other teams over the years that have done it. I didn't make the one with the Celtics because I picked the Celtics. See, if you want to get in those, you have to pick against the team that wins. That's the rule there. And if you do that, sometimes they'll put you in there, which I had no problem with. I'm fine with that. But Jayson Tatum, we talked a little bit about this in a previous episode of the show, but I wanted to get into it again here. Jayson Tatum basking in the Celtics win by doing a couple of things here which were awkward. He's kind of a weird dude. He's good at basketball. He's a little bit of a weirdo. So he sent Jayson Tatum a post out, said, "What they gonna say now?" on social media. That was the first thing. And he did a couple other things we'll get to in a sec. Now, Jaylen Brown, who after the Celtics won and he was named the most valuable player of the finals, Jaylen Brown came out and said he didn't really care about the critics and all that. Well, then Jaylen Brown revealed that the Celtics win. He went on Instagram after the Celtics had won the day after and all that, had some time to calm down, and he shared a post that stated 89% of the bets placed on the NBA Finals were indeed on the Dallas basketball team to win. Although I don't believe that is factually correct. I believe it was the Game 1 matchup of the Finals. Game 1, the media was pumping the tires on Luka Doncic and the Mavericks, and they got most of the bets, if I remember correctly. It was not overall for the Finals. So let us discuss the question. Right? Can you make sense of Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum taking turns poking the critics of the Boston Celtics? So I've got Winchell's, Disney's Aladdin, and Treasure Chest. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a hangover, which is what just about every single Celtic player will be dealing with. Although we have heard from listeners of the show, if you just don't stop drinking, you don't have to worry about having a hangover. You just continue on and on. So my first thought on this whole thing was it was cringe-worthy by both Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum because overall the Celtics were a humongous favorite in the NBA Finals. Most people were picking the Celtics to win. They were the better team, and they were supposed to win. And that's exactly what they did. But this whole situation with Tatum posting a bunch of stuff and some of the things he said after the Celtics won and then Jaylen Brown, it really is more, for my purposes, I'm going to make it all about me. I'm going to pull a Tom Looney and make it all about me. It is validation. It's hot take validation because I have been screaming from the bully pulpit for many, many years. It is not the fan. It is not the family. It is not the teammates. It is not the coach that matter the most. They don't matter. The person that matters the most is the critic. The critic is the one that moves the needle. And the big mouth, blowhard, gas bag, whoever you want to, however you want to phrase it, right? Any of those terms. The one that ruffles the feathers by not saying the thing you want them to say at the time you want them to say it, that is the powerful person. That is the person that gets mentioned after every championship, even when you are a presumptive favorite and all the polling stations say you're going to win. It doesn't matter. Right? That's the spark plug, the critic. The critic is the motivator. That's the critic. You saw after the Celtics won, the first commercial they aired was a Nike commercial that was in the can for Jayson Tatum, and the Nike marketing people talking about proving the doubters wrong, which is the standard fare. And had the series gone on and Dallas had won, we would have gotten a commercial with Luka Doncic saying the same crap. It would have been the same crap. All of this is a trip to Winchell's, or in this case, Walter Winchell, long ago radio man Walter Winchell, who pointed out that the same thing happened today that happened yesterday, only to different people. In this case, the same thing happened this year that happened in previous years, just to different athletes. Like the Nuggets were doing it. Nobody thought we could do it last year, and now it's the Celtics' turn, and next year it'll be Team X. And even when teams are big favorites like Boston, they still do the same thing. But I want to go back to Jayson Tatum because in the case of Tatum, he was doing a lot of copying and pasting, like you would do on your phone, your computer, whatever. He tried to recreate right after the game, and I didn't notice this at the time because I don't have a file of these things, but thank God for the internet sleuths that do. So side by side, I watched the video, and he recreated or attempted to recreate Kevin Garnett after the Celtics won in 2008. Anything is possible, the anything possible speech. And he did that. Tatum also said, what are they going to say now? That was the money quote, which is the same exact thing that Steph Curry had said when the Warriors won in 2022 and he was the MVP. So he plagiarized Steph Curry. Now, turning the page here, let's move away from the Celtics because the silly season is underway in the NBA, and there are reports that say JJ Redick was, quote, very impressive during his recent soiree, an interview with the Lakers there. So where does that leave things at this particular point? The draft is coming up in like a week, a little less than that, I believe. So it's in the hands of lawyers. It's in the hands of lawyers. Here's where we are right now with Redick. They're crunching the numbers, and the lawyers are trying to figure out. It's like parachute shopping. I'll call it like this. The analogy is it's like shopping for a parachute. I don't even know where you would buy a parachute, but it's like trying to buy a parachute. And the question is, how big of a golden parachute do the Lakers want to give JJ? Because they're inevitably going to fire him in a couple of years. LeBron's going to play maybe 1 or 2 years more, and that's it. And he'll go away. And then they'll have to get rid of JJ Redick because the only reason they hired JJ Redick was because of LeBron. But Jeannie Buss, if you look at this chapter of the book, Jeannie Buss is like Jeannie from Disney's Aladdin. And she's telling LeBron James right now, LeBron, yet again, your wish is my command, LeBron. You want your podcast pal to be the coach? Okay, I can make that happen. Sure, that'll guarantee LeBron comes back. He can't not come back to the Lakers if your podcast BFF is the coach of the team, masquerading as the coach. We know LeBron's always the coach. Hey, you want your kid to be a Laker? We're working on that. Yeah, we'll get Bronny, Scrawny Bronny. We'll bring him in. Sure, why not? We'll sell a few more tickets. We'll draft him. He shouldn't even be drafted. We'll draft him. Why not? All right, last word. We now go to the bean counters department. The numbers have been added up here on this, and we have been told that the Golden State basketball team and the People's team in Los Angeles are both staring down the barrel of the national debt basketball. It's not as much as the U.S. national debt, which is insane. They just keep printing money. But the NBA luxury tax bills are expected to exceed what was the salary cap in the 2023-2024 season. Let me repeat that for those of you in the back of the room. The Golden State franchise and the Clips are going to have luxury tax bills that are higher than the entire salary cap. I'm anti-cap anyway. The luxury tax payments for Golden State, $176.9 million. And then the Clippers are $142.4 million. The cap was at $136 million. was told by a program director years ago, you're never supposed to give too many numbers out on the radio, so I just gave a bunch of numbers. But Golden State, let's just focus on the Warriors here. Golden State with an NBA high luxury tax payment of almost $177 million. That is blank. That is my word for this, and I'll keep it simple. Is bravo is my word. Tip of the cap to Joe Lacob and to Steve Ballmer. I know we're talking more about Golden State here, but to both owners, may every man, woman, and child, at least when they grow up, have a boss with this kind of treasure chest. Think of the treasure chest. This is not a family business. It's not. You don't give out that kind of money if it's a family business. The aristocrats, these guys have so much money that they can't take it with them. This is not like the Egyptians. You know, the legend, I don't even think it's true, but the Egyptians were buried, legend has it, with vast amounts of treasure and in the pyramids and the tombs of Egypt, and people would raid them. All the movies made it seem like that happen. I don't think it's actually true, though. But the robber barons are blowing it. They're blowing it on their expensive toy, their NBA team. And Joe Lacob, though, in this equation, it's hard to say a guy worth $2.1 billion is a daredevil, but side by side, Pepsi Challenge, absolute daredevil. He's worth $2.1 billion. Steve Ballmer has a net worth of $130 billion. I mean, it's insane. Insane. He didn't invent Microsoft. He just worked for Microsoft, and he left, and he got $130 billion now. And by the way, a source tells me that both Golden State and the Clippers still will turn a profit even with that insane balloon payment. Let that settle in. Imagine how much the other teams are making if they're making money even with that expense.